All right, good morning, everyone. Thursday morning, time to talk about today's weather. It's going to be an interesting day, although a pretty low impact day from a weather standpoint in the grand scheme of things. We'll certainly have bigger impact days as we head into the upcoming winter, and we may even have a bigger impact day early next week. We'll talk about that in just a moment. A sluggish cold front moving through the area this morning with some light rain and drizzle around the area. Big burly area of high pressure out here supplying colder air. This is the first of a few shots of pretty cold air that will descend upon the region as we go through the next week to even 10 days or so. The rain that's out there is spotty, it's light, it's generally speaking not a big deal. It's just kind of a gloomy morning. Now, we've been talking all week about this transition over to some wet snow this afternoon. I still think that's going to occur in a lot of places, but it is not going to be a big deal at all. There's just not much moisture to wring out of the atmosphere once the air is cold enough. So yes, rain will probably increase in coverage a little bit towards midday today from south to north. Plan on a wet lunch hour with temperatures in the upper 30s, and then temperatures slowly glide back through the 30s, a little bit closer to the mid 30s, changing the greens to blues. But you'll notice there's just not much moisture left by the time the air is cold enough. So yeah, there's going to be some wet snowflakes flying towards 3, 4, 5 o'clock, but it's not going to accumulate. Roads will just be wet. Now, perhaps the bigger concern, and we don't want to sleep on this, is the transition over to more of a lake effect regime overnight tonight. This, combined with temperatures plunging into the mid-20s tonight, can make for some locally slick travel. Now, I don't think this is a widespread thing, but wet and slushy areas, puddles in parking lots, your driveway, your deck, your sidewalk, and even a few spots on secondary roads especially could turn a little bit slick tonight when you consider that everything will be wet this afternoon, and then temperatures will fairly quickly drop into the mid-20s overnight tonight. Now, couple that with local amounts of a coating to perhaps an inch worth of lake effect snow, yeah, there could be some localized slick spots overnight tonight. This is going to be as most of the time lake effect is, it'll be fairly disorganized, but overnight there'll be some fingers of lake effect coming in off of Lake Erie, most numerous in Trumbull and Mercer counties, but even down into Mahoning and Columbiana, you can see at least some flurries overnight tonight and into Friday morning. Overall, accumulations will be, let's look at our accumulations here. They'll be pretty modest when you consider hardly anything is going to accumulate, almost nothing at all later today. The lake effect can accumulate maybe up to a couple of inches from Mespo back into Geauga County, parts of Portage County, and then a couple of inches will also be a possibility across the 87 corridor in Trumbull County and across into Greenville, New Lebanon, Sandy Lake, maybe down to I-80 in eastern Mercer County. Amounts probably less than an inch down towards Warren and Cortland, Austintown, and Salem and Columbiana. Youngstown area, pretty much everyone in Mahoning County. At most, you'll probably see an inch, but let's not focus too much on the exact amounts. Even if you just get a little dusting of snow overnight tonight with the lake effect bands, again, that could make things just locally slick because that little dusting will be sitting on top of what was previously just damp, and that could lead to some black ice issues and some patches of slick spots. Again, we don't want to emphasize too much the snow because amounts are going to be pretty modest, but the impacts can be moderate at times tonight if you happen to be out tonight and first thing Friday morning. At the very least, it's going to be quite cold. Temperatures tomorrow morning in the 20s. These are some model high temperatures and low temperatures over the next week to 10 days or so, even up to 2 weeks. The harshest of the cold will be middle of next week. May not get above freezing a couple of days. We'll have at least 1, maybe even 2 nights with low temperatures in the teens next week. Challenging records, and I do think that this colder than average pattern is likely to stick around into at least the 3rd week of November and maybe all the way up to Thanksgiving coming up during that last few days of November. All right, this evening we will do the winter forecast on 21 News at 6 and 11, so be sure to tune in and get the quick 3-minute version of the forecast, which is just kind of the bottom line, what you can expect. Snow compared to average this winter, temperatures compared to average this winter, and then around 7:30 to 8 o'clock this evening, I'll have a much longer version online that will cover the bottom line, but also get into much more detail, kind of a month-by-month breakdown, also getting into some of the meteorology. I know that some people are interested in kind of the behind-the-scenes as to what we're looking at when we create a winter forecast, and so we'll get into some of that on the longer version of the forecast this evening. We'll also put up a blog post for those who maybe are not interested in just watching a video. If they want to just read about the winter forecast, We'll have that on ericwfmj.com. So winter forecast day today, appropriately enough, as it's about to turn pretty cold, and we're going to see a few snowflakes. All right, make it a great Thursday, everyone, and thank you for watching.